Hello, I'm going to call the meeting to order tonight. Welcome to the Cleveland Community Police Commission's meeting for Wednesday, June 25th. We're located at our 3631 Perkins Avenue location on the fourth floor. I welcome you to our meeting. We're going to start with a roll call attendance. Co-Chair Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Chura.
Present.
Commissioner Coleman has an excused absence. Commissioner Kincaid.
Present.
Commissioner Mason.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner Marrero Benito.
Present.
Commissioner Nelson is on his way. Commissioner Rodriguez is excused. Commissioner Umelson.
Present.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Present.
And I, Commissioner Zayed, I am present. We're going to go to the next item on the agenda, which is adoption of the agenda. Please review. And if there are any changes you want to, like any amendments or changes you would like to make, let us know now. Okay, if not, we move for the adoption of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm going to call all in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. The agenda has been adopted with unanimous consent. Yep. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm just going to add it to the attendance. We're going to move forward with the meeting decorum. This meeting of the Cleveland Community Police Commission is a lawful meeting. Under Section 605.04 of the codified ordinance, no person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which substantially obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting, procession or gathering. Members of the public and the commission are invited to speak only under the rules set by the commission. Speaking out of turn in violation of the rules is in violation of the rules of this commission, interferes with the due conduct of this lawful meeting, and may constitute a violation of section 605.4. The penalty of violating section 605.4 is a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes, but those are not finished, so we are going to table that to our next meeting. We're going to move forward with the next item on the agenda, which is our public comment period. First person is Andre Hainsworth. Okay. Next person. Effort.
Gary Efron.
Okay. Terry Wong.
The batteries are out.
Do we have Gary Efron?
Would you like to speak, sir? Are you okay with that, sir?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You can just stand here and speak. We're just no.
We'll be close to the mic.
It's not going to reach.
Do you mind if I sit next to the city?
If you like.
It says it's okay that I sit next to it. I think it should be.
I just would like there to be a clear division between the commission and the members of the public.
Well, I would like that too, especially when they.
Okay, so if we could just
But I would like
stand
to,
right here.
you're destroying the public record.
Oh, it's right.
But people can barely even hear people when it's on the mic. So why do you have batteries when you're on the microphone?
The camera picks up the sound with the.
The camera picks up the sound not well. I'm sure the equity between, this is public comment, so the public should have access to a microphone, just as the other people do. Jim is fine with me sitting next to him. Ms. Wong, no, this is, Jim, are you okay with me sitting next to you?
Just hold the microphone or something.
I don't
Would you
think
like
that
me to hold it
community
for you?
members should be able to.
I'll hold it.
Oh, because the table is the real division here. You guys are not even blocking.
Yeah, you can stand over here and I'll hold it.
Okay, this is how we, is that the camera right there? All right, this is quite hilarious circus. Thank you for holding it. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's start the countdown. My name is Terry Wong, and I am the former chair of the Police Accountability and Rules Committees for the Community Police Commission. I'm speaking today because the commission has descended into lawlessness and retaliation, enabled by the inaction of the mayor, the law department, and those charged with protecting the public interest. After Monday's budget and grants meeting, I was physically assaulted by Commissioner Utaya Miller, pushed from behind after I exposed the commission's unlawful decision to outsource $1 million in public grant money to the United Black Fund, a private nonprofit. I have video evidence of the assault. 4 individuals witnessed it: Co-Chair John Adams, Commissioner Imo Imusen, staff member Michelle Hicks, and UBF Executive Celeste Terry. Miller and Terry fled the scene, while Adams, Yamosin, and Hicks locked themselves inside the commission office and refused to speak with police. This is not an isolated incident. In November 2024, I was also physically assaulted by Commissioners Pete Van Leer and Chandra Benito after I exposed the commission's collaboration with Cleveland Police on a drone surveillance policy that targets protesters. These are not coincidences. These are acts of coordinated retaliation. The grant process that triggered the most recent assault wasn't unethical. It was also unlawful. Grant recipients were never publicly disclosed or discussed. Emosin and Miller voted to approve organizations handpicked by the UBF, not through a public process. $1 million of your money was funneled into groups aligned with the administration's agenda, not the public good. So why do I continue to attend these meetings, even at risk to my personal safety? Because the commission was created by the people of Cleveland to serve as a check on police power. Instead, it has been captured by political insiders and repurposed to protect the status quo. We are facing a larger national crisis with war abroad and protests rising at home. History tells us what will come next: the expansion of domestic surveillance using the police against the public. This commission, in its current form, will not resist that expansion. It will enable it. It already has. And it's already begun through policies that normalize police control and suppress dissent and allow the commissioners to commit acts of violence against the public. Clevelanders must act. Demand that the mayor and council remove every commissioner involved in assault, obstruction, or unlawful appointment. Demand a charter amendment that guarantees true independence. I'll be filing a declaratory judgment soon to begin that process to help the public get that in action. Because at this point, the people must organize and defend themselves against an increasingly unaccountable police surveillance state and a totally unaccountable police commission. Thank you.
Terry, I think your dress is
Does anybody need any more agendas? Some up here.
Gary Effort. Yeah.
And the camera does pick up the sound if you guys feel more comfortable over here. I think we
The
can
comments
confirm.
say that they can hear.
Yeah,
just
everyone
fine.
says that they can hear it.
They can hear it?
Yes.
So I
You don't have to. I think that everyone can hear it.
Okay, everybody can hear it? Okay, my name is Gary Effort. This is my first meeting to attend. Where's the camera? Right here? Okay, this is my first meeting to attend, and I'm proud to be here at this meeting. Now, I live in the Bond Towers. Now, a lot of you people don't know where the Bond Towers is on 13th and Superior. Now, a lot of you people don't know what situations are happening around these areas, what's going on with like with the drug trade and everything that's going on. But I can tell you right now, a lot of you people would not go and sit around those areas and see what's going on with what's happening around these areas at night. But I can tell you this, law enforcement is definitely doing their job. To me, they're doing their job, and they keep things focused and keeping things aware of what's happening out there these days, you know. And I gotta be proud of what's going on. And you have to applaud these guys, this law enforcement, as far as what's happening. You know what I mean? Applaud these guys. Give them a hand praise. Give them an applause, please. Because if you don't, you turn your back on law enforcement here in Cleveland, Ohio. You know, my brother-in-law used to be the head of chief of police for the Bond Tower. But he quit, and the reason why he quit because he ain't wasn't going to the city band, you know. So he stepped away. He stepped away from it. And stepping away from it means the thing was going where he started going on. You know what I mean? But I was have to come to this meeting here to see what was going on, and as I can see, you know, it's almost like a house divided. And I can see that. But looking around the room, there's a house divided. And a house divided means, hey, it ain't gonna be going well, and I can see that. And they must be ready to say, but I think I should come to quite a few of these meetings, you know. These people gotta come together. As long as they come together right now. You know, I'm an entertainer, you know. I write music. You know, I write music, and it said like, ain't much to say, and you know, I'm just gonna observe and see what's going on with you guys. And from what I'm saying, this here, you know, ain't much to say, ain't much to do. You know, you guys, you know, I've heard about the forceful things that go on with these meetings, and I just say, hey, you know, I can say, you know, love one another, respect one another, and that's the word. That's a key word for me, respect. Where's the respect here? Is there respect here? And from what I'm hearing, I can say no. You gotta respect, you know, what y'all do here, because you know y'all represent a lot of people. Y'all represent a lot of people, and a lot of people say, "What's going on here?" And Marvin Gaye said it best. What's going on? And from the end of the day, when I need to know that it's something really going on.
Time. Thank you very much for your comment, sir.
Okay, thank you. I see what's going on. I just heard what's going on.
Next
You
is
said it right.
Mike
Mhm. You said it
Rogalski.
right.
Hi everybody, my name is Mike Rogalski. I'm a candidate for Cleveland City Council, Ward 7. City Council Ward 7 is Ohio City. I don't know where to stand. Detroit, Shoreway, Tremont, the Flats. And I'm here today simply to observe and to understand. And I'm also here in support of my neighbor and my friend, Terry Wong. She's also a city council candidate in this vicinity. So I'm just here tonight for those purposes. Thank you.
Kathy McDonald.
Kathy McDonald, I do the Hyacinths Community Block Club. I have one comment. When I was here at one of the meetings, maybe last month or the month before, they were saying about accountability. I've been to several meetings where there's been no officer present, there's been no member of the commission present. Now, how do we get that word out for the accountability that all meetings have to have an officer present or somebody from the team? Because a lot of people don't know about it. Even Rebecca Moyer, which is the city councilwoman, I have no idea. So that's what my comment is. You know?
Jay Williams.
Good evening. I've watched the meetings on YouTube. I watched Ms. Wong totally disrespect you all. I want the people in Cleveland to know that if she was a chairperson here, she could call law and order and everybody has to answer. It's different when she's not over there. I respect the fact that she once was on the commission, but she's not on the commission anymore.
That's why the commission is disarray.
She's not, if you can't talk when I'm talking.
I can't talk. I don't hear
So
script. You don't respect the fact
problem-
that they assaulted me. You
the
never saw
problem-
those videos, did
the
you?
problem that I have, and so many of us that are watching, we really want you all to do your job.
They won't.
And we understand that it's complicated because she is rude. And
I'm
I
being
would say,
assaulted, mister.
I
I'm
would
being
say, my name is
assaulted.
Williams.
Mr.
I would
Williams,
say,
I'm being assaulted.
at any given time,
Corruption.
when someone has the floor, it's called respect. And I honor the respect that I have for each one of you that are here. And I understand when you spit on the lady the other day, when the one that was here, you spit on her when you was talking. She had to get up and move. She had to move because you was talking right there in her face. That is disrespect. And somewhere in this equation, I say to the people in the audience, the people that are here, somewhere in the equation, we need to find a way to disbar her from coming in here and being disrespectful.
Why don't you
Because it irks the daylights out of us when we are at home watching, hoping that there will be some legislation that you all would bring forth to help us understand what's going on with the Cleveland Police Commission. Because each one of you, I've searched. I know you're doing a great job. I know your heart. But you can't have a heart if I keep picking with you. Pretty soon, you're going to be like anybody else. You're going to say enough is enough. So I ask somehow, some way, Mr. Lawyer, whoever you are, to find a way to say enough is enough because the people want to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Thomas.
Hi, everybody. Hello. My name is Mark Thomas, and me and my fiance, Kelly Slobodian, we have a very public ordeal with us being assaulted twice, once me being shot in the back. I need to. Okay. Okay. Jeez, you don't hold my can't hold my stuff. I ain't gonna lie, man. The city of Cleveland needs this commission. There's a lot of trauma that has affected the city, and there needs to be a mediation between the people and the police. I know I needed the police when I was shot. And I know I don't care to listen to anything else. Yesterday, we were just trying to do work on our house. And some of you know this because it is what it is. I'm trying to get help. Terry showed up to the police department when they would not give us a police report after being shot in the back and assaulted by people. I didn't come here to talk about Terry. I didn't come here to pick at anybody in their job. I don't talk to dismantle the Cleveland Police Department. That shouldn't be anybody's agenda. It's one focus here, and that focus is Cleveland. And I'm really disheartened that we can't work together. If Terry is making some complaints, let's listen to her. If y'all gonna argue with Terry and say something back, let's listen to him. But the main focus is to help people in Cleveland and to be a mediation for the police and the people. And I don't care to hear about a lot of the bickering because I'm messed up, to be honest with you. I have severe PTSD from what we've been through. Kelly has severe PTSD. Sometimes I can't get out of bed to even help someone else. I can't see that. So I'm asking you to listen.
Time. Thank you for your comment. Kelly Slobodian.
My name is Kelly Slobodian. I just want to speak because I want a commission that is going to help the people and the police to work together. Like Mark said, I think he said it great. I went to the police station yesterday to file a police report, and it's been multiple times going to First District that I've been refused reports for problems that are going on with the neighbors harassing me, stalking, menacing. I called the police when I got to my house yesterday to go fix gutters. We can't stay in our home. We're living in a rental right now where I pay a mortgage for a house, and I have to get it ready and emptied out so that I can sell it. I called the police non-emergency number, told them that I was going to be at the house. I wanted somebody to be there because I was afraid something was going to happen. I knew something was going to happen. If I go there, they come and harass me all the time. Mark hasn't been to the house since he got shot on October 11th of 24. I have to go there by myself to load a car and drive over a half an hour away out of the city, out of the county, because I'm not safe in the city of Cleveland. I go to the Cleveland Police Department to go make reports because I'm not safe and things are happening, and I get denied a report. I said, oh, wait. And Andy smirked at me when I told him that I was being denied doing the job on my house, that I was followed from my house. Gave him all the information that I needed. He smirked while I was giving him the report. It takes a lot for me to go to the police station to file a report. It takes a lot for me to call the police. I'm shaking right now because I have PTSD. I worry about Mark because nothing's being done. It's like the city of Cleveland and the police department want us to take it in our own hands so that they can lock him up. The city prosecutor already tried to prosecute him for something that was false, and we had to fight, and he was found not guilty. We shouldn't be going through this. Terry Wong was the only reason why I got a police report yesterday, because she came up there and forced me to come in there and try again. You guys might not like her. This is not personal. Your job is not personal. I saw the eyes rolling. I saw the nods. You guys are supposed to be respected, and we're supposed to respect you. We're supposed to respect the police, but you need to respect the citizens too. I'm looking at you. I see you nodding. I saw the videos. You can't react even to me right now. You can't react. You can like what I say about certain things, but if something is said to you guys that you don't agree about, you need to listen and take it in and find out if it's right or wrong for yourselves. They're supposed to be giving us
Time. Thank you very
information
much
so we
for your comment. Andre Hainsworth.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andre Ainsworth. I'm a 33-year retired veteran. I've had such assignments as from the mayor's office all the way down to this basic patrol. I've been in several areas of the department. I was also one of the founding members of the Black Shield Police Department, Black Shield Police Association, to help to fight the lawsuit racial prejudice and everything else inside the department. I have to give my comments towards the areas that I understand. And I understand the police commission for what it has to do. I also understand it's supposed to be ran by Robert's Rules Board. So therefore, a lot of the things that we come up and we have filed in Redwood, and a lot of problems that we have, should be done according to that way. And that means a lot of things have to be put on paper. If it's not on paper, we're standing here talking about it now, but it doesn't mean that much. If it's on paper, paper has a tendency to have a trail. Okay? So, rather than bog this body down with things that we're just talking about now, we need to do some type of action that's going to take place so they can address the situation so we can get rid of it. I still live in the city of Cleveland. I graduated out of high school in Cleveland, Glenville. I came out during the 70s, in fact, 1970. I came from home from the Marines and I came back here. So I understand a lot of problems. Like I said, I was out here for 33 years. I've almost been retired for almost 20 years. So in 20 years, I've seen a lot. In 33 years on the department, I traveled from districts 2 to 6 and all over the west side of Cleveland in various units. Okay, so I understand a lot. But nothing can be done if you keep bogging this committee down with things. They have an agenda that they have to go through. And they need to put the agenda forth, and let's go through it and come up with some resolutions of how police do things, how the rules are regulated. You can't do that if you guys keep arguing about it. Thank you.
So that concludes our public comment. Thank you to everyone who commented. The next item on the agenda will be to discuss the 2024 grants that were recommended to the commission by the United Black Fund. So for anyone who doesn't have just a little background information, so last year we decided as a commission to put out an RFP for an organization to essentially go through our grant making process for us. That decision was made due to the difficulties and the stress that it put on the commission when we had to do them as a commission. So we selected UBF. We took the proposal to City Council. It was passed by City Council and approved. And so we had UBF as our organization who would do the grants for us. So the process of how this went was UBF was tasked with, I think as she stated in the meeting that we had the other night, they essentially created a rubric. They scored all of the organizations who applied on the rubric that they had. They had a score of 40, I think she said, on their rubric. And so there was a certain threshold that organizations had to meet to even move on to the next step. So once they selected those organizations based on the score from their rubric, they then did what they say are site visits. So they either went directly to the organization, or for some of them, if they couldn't coordinate that, they did Zoom meetings to sort of kind of get a better understanding of the organizations. And from there, they went through a process of selecting the grantees that they felt like were the best for the 2024 grants. So we have 3 categories based on the charter. There is a violence prevention programs, which tends to be, even when we did them the first year, we tend to get more requests for programs that are focused on violence prevention than any other 3 categories. There were 29 recommendations that they have made, and we provided a list for the public, and we posted it on our webpage for the public to view. And then there were 8 selected for restorative justice programs, and there were 4 selected for mediation programs. So we look at the list that we've distributed and that what UBF came up with. There are a total of, it looks like roughly 42 organizations they've selected. The first year that we did it, we selected 26. But they selected 42, and they made adjustments to, if you look at the applications, they didn't just grant people, award them what they asked for. They went through the programs and they made adjustments to the amount that they would be giving organizations. But I will say that if you look at this list, the first 19, which I think are all in bold, these are organizations that we had previously awarded grants to. So all of these grants here, these would be repeat grantees. These would be organizations that we awarded funds to previously. And with us having no involvement with it, UBF also came to the same conclusion to award these grantees funds. So one of the final steps that we needed to do is we needed to do a conflict of interest to ensure that there were like nobody's family members or any conflicts with people working with the organizations or benefiting from the organizations. We went through that process, and then once that process was cleared by the law department, the final step was for us to finally release the applications and information about the grantees to the commission. And that's sort of where we are now. The commissioners were asked to review the applications and to familiarize themselves with the grants. And so at this point, we have choices. So the charter gives us the grant making abilities. In the 115.5 is duty number 26 under the duties and the authorities of the commission. And so with this process, it is important that we realize that while UBF can do the groundwork, they can vet the organizations, they can go through this process as the people we've chosen. In the end, the decision for who gets these grants and who does not is the responsibility of the commission. So this list that we have, these are UBF's recommendations for us. If a commissioner saw something in an application that makes them question if they want to grant that organization funds, then you have a right to bring that to the table. These grants do not have to be voted on as a single block. We can decide to change amounts if we want to. We can decide to omit grantees if that's what we think we need to do. So I just wanted to just basically just kind of give the public a little bit of background and just to clarify what we have to do now. And so I don't know, I can maybe turn this over to Commissioner Umason, who is now the chair of the Budget and Grants Committee, and I would ask that perhaps maybe you can read the motion into the motion for the commission to open up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What staff person, I'm trying to understand this process. In any other organization similar to ours, there'd be a staff person who would be assigned to this, and they would meet with the organization, and there'd be a recommendation from that staff person. I know that our commission takes on a lot of work to staff people, but who would be the staff person that would be reviewing and then making a recommendation to the committee, and which would then bring it forward to the commission? Seems to be a gap somewhere.
The staff person or the office manager in their job description, they are responsible for this task.
So is that person going to bring so why is that person not speaking? I'm trying to understand.
I mean, if you would like to invite them to speak, you can.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I heard a dissertation from you, but it seemed to be that it'd be a staff person that would have made that comment, then the recommendation would have been made to the committee, so you don't have to go. You ask us to go through all these. There seems to be a gap somewhere. I don't know who can fill in that gap. Should we hear from Michelle? Should Ms. Hicks? Or should we hear from the chairperson? I mean, who vets all this stuff?
Well,
PBS did one part, and then who from our committee? who
the
from
office
our
manager.
Vets.
The office manager. I mean, while UBF was working, doing their work, we tasked our office manager, Michelle Hicks, with working closely with UBF because in the end, the way that conflict of interest works is that you cannot be involved in any part of the process. So I'm just trying to clarify. So basically, that task was given to our office manager. So she was the person who worked closely. Is there something you would like to add that maybe I missed, Michelle?
I had no part in the awarding.
No, not the awarding process, but in terms of like who from our staff was the person who was working with UBF or logistics or whatever we needed.
It was supposed to be Jason.
Okay.
It's listed in the contract. I'm not listed in the contract.
Okay. So I think she's saying she doesn't have anything to ask.
So, Mr. Chairman, would it be, I think going forward, and this doesn't just apply to this grant, but we have a staff person or a staff person. It would seem to me that we would rely on that staff person or persons to do the real grunt work, and then that person would make a recommendation to the appropriate committee, so then they can review with that staff person, and then so that we would hear, that's how committees work. But Mr. Chairman, I won't belabor it today. We'll put it in our quiver for future discussion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So can I turn this over to Commissioner Umsen for the motion?
Yeah, appreciate that, Dr. Adams. So yes, I wanted to do a motion to approve the 2024 grants. So we can go ahead and move on to 2025. It's 2025 now. Thank you.
So we would need to read the motion onto the record.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If I may, if the intent is to approve the, a grantee award, as provided in this matrix, I would, suggest that, either we mark this as an exhibit, and then you can say, you would move to approve, exhibit A as, to award the grants, move to award the grants reflected in exhibit A, or you would read all the grantees line by line and then move to approve it individually or collectively.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So I want to move forward with awarding the grants. I'll go ahead and read them all individually. So I'll read them. And Dr. Adams, thank you for explaining that the funding is based on different categories. So I'll read the category as well. Then I'll also mention the recommended amount as well. So this is small writing here. So it's the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland. That's violence prevention. Well, all these will be violence prevention until I switch to the next one. So the next one is the Prolific Achievers Academy. So the LGBT Center, their recommendation is $15,000. The Prolific Achievers Academy, their recommendation is $20,000. The Spread the Love Foundation recommendation is $20,000. Soul Serenity, their recommendation is $35,000. There's the Rivers in the Desert, their recommendation is $30,000. Then we have Rhonda Crowder Associates, their recommendation is $20,000. We have Renounce Denounce, and their recommendation is $20,000. We have the North Ohio Coalition for the Homeless, and their recommendation is $15,000. Men and Women of Central, their recommendation is $20,000. Love Train Ministries, their recommendation is 15,000. Kingdom Alliance, their recommendation is 20,000. Golden Cypress Youth Development and Cultural Arts Center, their recommendation is 35,000. We have Ghetto Therapy, their recommendation is 30,000. Cleveland Freedom Project, their recommendation is 20,000. Cleveland Clergy Coalition, theirs is $35,604. Change the Narrative, their recommendation is 30,000. Balance Point Studio, their recommendation is 20,000. And then we have Angelo Miller Foundation, their recommendation is 35,000. And so that's all of our awards for violence prevention. The next one is mediation. And so the first one is Special Deeds Inc. And that amount is 30,000. The second one is Queen I Am. That recommendation is 20,000. We have the Cleveland Mediation Center. Their recommendation is 30,000. And then the last one for mediation is the Southeast Cleveland Resource Center, and their recommendation is 35,000. In the next section, we have restorative justice. And so the first grantee for that is so we have the Southeast Cleveland Resource Center for Restorative Justice. Their recommendation is 30,000. Then we have Mentors for Minorities, LLC, for restorative justice. Their recommendation is 35,000. Then we have Honesty Home. Their recommendation is 30,000. Cleveland and Home. Their recommendation is 30,000. And then we have Shelter the People Cleveland, and theirs is 20,000. Then we have Haven Homes LLC. Theirs is 30,000. Then we have Teaching Young Women in Society Truth. Their recommendation is 30,000. And then now we're on to violence prevention. So the rest of these are going to be for violence prevention. And so the first one is Speak Into the Light. That recommendation is 35,000. Share Homes Inc. Their recommendation is 35,000. Road Gold Inc. Their recommendation is 20,000. Recess Cleveland, their recommendation is 20,000. Point of Freedom, their recommendation is 30,000. Pace Foundation CLE, their recommendation is 30,000. National Black Home Inspectors Association, their recommendation is 19,000. Cleveland 10 Point American, their recommendation is 20,000. We have 1,000 Ties. Their recommendation is 20,000. We have the Lewis Art Inc. Institute. Their recommendation is 10,000. Healing Hands Alliance. Their recommendation is 30,000. Brenda Glass Multi-Purpose Trauma Center. Their recommendation is their recommendation is 30,000. And then Universal Love ENT. Their recommendation is 20,000. So that's the full list here. So I move to approve the prospective grantee list as stated and as reflected in the UBF document entitled Vital Matrix Grants, UBF-CPC, which would be attached to the meeting minutes and as Alex mentioned as Exhibit A. So I want to open it up for discussion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any open floor for discussion? Commissioner Chura?
Yeah, I have a question on Kingdom Alliance. There's an application score of 6. The only other one lower than that is 57 at the bottom for Universal Love. What is that a typo, you think, or is that a score? And if it's a score that low, why would we be approving something like that?
Do we know if that's a typo, Michelle? Because I know that when UPF was here, they said that there was a like a floor. So I think that's a valid question. I think we need to figure out if their score is 6 and the threshold was 40, why would they be here?
To the chairman.
Yes. Commissioner.
What is the determination of who gets a grant? I mean, following up on Commissioner Chera's question. The scores range from as high as what, 102, 105, 107, down to 6. And then the amounts of money. Is this an efficient use of our grant money? How do we determine how the grants are approved based on scores? Is there a lower score than 6 somewhere that was disqualified? If someone can explain that.
So to the commissioner, so I think this is why we sent all of the applications over to the commissioners. So we wanted the commissioners to have the opportunity to review the applications. So if there were any discrepancies or any issues that they could be brought to the commission. So like I said, the commissioners were not involved in the selection of the grants. Okay, that was something that we did.
So you don't know the answer to my question.
I was not involved with the selection of the grants.
Let me restate it. To the chairman of the committee, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Does anybody in the room know how these scores were arrived at and what determines whether or not a applicant gets a grant? And then, that's just ask. Does anyone know that?
Based on what UBF's presentation on Monday, there was a rubric that they created that they used to score the grants to move them into before they would do the site visits.
Is there anybody here today that can explain to the audience, the people in the audience, and to us? If not, then that's just the answer. The answer is no.
Commissioner Bandler?
Well, to the chair and to the commissioner, I was not involved in the process, but we did get a document that has the whole rubric. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. It was sent out, I forget when, a couple of days ago. I don't remember exactly when it was sent out. And so I think the issue that's being flagged here of the score of 6 is a valid question, but if you look back at the document that was sent out, it has all the scores. It has which ones were, there's an issue there of should this applicant receive a site visit, and it says either yes or no. And what's interesting about that particular one, the Kingdom Alliance, is that they were not recommended for a site visit. So I think it's a really good question that I share as to why we would, I think we need more information on that, unless it was shared at I was not able to watch or attend the meeting. But based on that rubric that was sent out in the scoring sheet, I think that's a valid question. It would be good to know what the cutoff score was, particularly in that case, why that's there.
So this goes back to my question. Staff. We have staff. The commissioners work most of.
Point of order. I mean, we.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
I was still speaking, sir.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, I mean, discussing that staff piece, I think when we worked with UBF, granted, we lost our executive director, but the idea was though that because we did not have staff capacity to do that deep work, this which we all did together the first round, which meant we went on interviews, we did Zoom interviews. The idea was that we would be able to discuss in depth this work with an outside contractor to help us do the work, and there was a level of rigor that they brought to it. But again, I was not on the committee. I left that committee last year, so I don't know what was discussed on Monday night. It might be helpful if there is more information from the Monday night meeting.
Through the chair, thank you. They're actually were supposed to be here to do a special presentation for the public and go through each one in the process, but she canceled for today, so we didn't even know until last minute that she would not be here. So I apologize for that, but it was supposed to have been a complete presentation, how their rubric, just how they selected everyone.
All right. To the chair, thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Nelson.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. That was the question I was asking. So the answer is that. So, to the chairman, do we want to vote this today, or would we want to table it until the person can come and make the presentation? I'm sure the Commissioner Chair would love to know what the qualifying number is.
It was presented to the commissioner on Monday that the low score was 40. That was what was stated in the presentation that we were given on Monday at the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move with the chair, to the chair and to the commission. I'd move to table this until we can get the president to have the UBS. We talked about giving away $1 million until the presentation by the United Black Fund can be rescheduled.
I second that motion.
Okay, so
If-
all right.
if I may,
so wait,
um,
so
there's already a pending
there's a motion
motion
on the
on-
table already. So we have to finish the first motion. There's a motion that's on the table that's open for discussion that was put on the floor by Commissioner Umison that stated that he wanted to approve the grants under Exhibit A. So we would have to either amend that motion or we would have to vote that down and then motion to table the grants.
I appreciate that. And I want to add to that, and I appreciate everyone's input for this, just because this process is ongoing. So even as far as these recommendations are concerned, anyone who was recommended for a grant would still have to work with the law department, would still have to work with the city of Cleveland for everything to be finalized. So this is still with the grants process, it's still an ongoing process. So if everyone wants to wait on that additional information, then I can go ahead and I'll withdraw my motion till we get that information.
So the motion has been withdrawn. So I guess if Commissioner Nelson, would you like to present a motion, or someone would like to present a motion to table this until UBF is able to come to the full commission and give that presentation?
If I may, I'm sorry, upon looking at the rules, a motion to table is a subsidiary motion that takes the place of the main motion. So you can vote on the motion to table, and that motion to table is not debatable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I indicated, I move the table.
Okay, so there's a motion to table the voting on the 2024 grants until UBF can give the presentation and we can get some clarity on some of the questions that commissioners have. So I will just call for the vote. Commissioner Chur?
Aye.
Do we have a second?
I second that
Okay, we got a
motion.
motion. Commissioner Chur?
Aye.
Commissioner Kincaid?
Aye.
Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Morel Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Umison?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So that motion to table passes with 9 votes of aye and 0 votes of nay. I would just, before we move on to the next item of business, so I will say a couple things with this. So what this means is, because this is something that we need to get done, we are probably going to have to call a special meeting to get to finalize these grants. And I would just suggest to commissioners that in the meantime, that if you are looking at this list and you feel that there's something that's a red flag for you or something you have questions about, you have the rubric, you have the applications, you have the information. I would say review that information, and what that will help us with is that we can come more prepared so that we can actually get the business that we need to get done. But I think that there are some valid concerns here that we do need to address. But if we have the information, so I would just encourage us to review what we need to review, so to help things go a little more smoothly. Commissioner Benito?
Prior to the special meeting, who should commissioners direct their questions to?
At this point, it sounds like those questions need to be directed at UBF. My understanding was that our office manager was working with UBF, but as she just stated, it sounds like that's actually not what was happening. So it sounds like the information that we would need would have to come from UBF.
To the chair, if I may. I would recommend that the communication go through one commissioner to UBF rather than multiple commissioners.
Okay.
Talking to UBF, like the chair of the Budget
Yeah.
and Grants Committee perhaps could take the questions and get answers.
So-
But
Yeah. And then Commissioner Mason.
I received a email regarding a meeting on July the 7th with United Black Funds. So what is this meeting about? It's supposed to be at the Jerry Sue Thornton. So, so is this gonna, I mean, are they gonna be able to answer our questions? Are we gonna be able to present?
Well, this, present on the 7th?
Yeah, I'm because I don't,
At this point, I don't even know if that meeting is going to happen because that meeting was the meeting was what they wanted to do. Is the hope was that we would pass these grants today, and then they wanted to come and have an informational session with the grantees of what since we're not passing the grants today, we're going to have to set up something to meet with UBF, and then we're going to have to. They're probably going to have to reschedule that meeting. So at this point, I think it was just a meeting where they wanted to basically say, hey, congratulations, you've been awarded the grants. And then they were going to go through a session that explains like, what documents they need to turn in, what the contract process will look like. They wanted to do that with the grantees. But I think they'll probably have to reschedule at this point.
To Chair, Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to make this a comment. It's not a hill to die on, but I would think that at some point, and now may be better than waiting. I'm gonna go back to staff. We have a paid staff. There are at least, I think there are 3 people we have on staff, 4 people on staff. I would think that we would utilize our staff to be the conduit as opposed to a commissioner. That would be staff, we would direct our questions to staff as opposed to the commissioners reaching out to UBF. One of the reasons that we wanted to have this Chinese wall in terms of the ethics was to make sure there were no conflicts or issues. So the cleanest way to do it would be to have staff, we direct our questions to staff, bring the UBF person into if there's going to be a committee meeting with the UBF people to sort of answer some of these questions, and staff coordinate that. And I would suggest that our office manager, who is the staff person, she can identify or she can delegate it to another staff person if she's overwhelmed. But so that we can start sort of cleaning stuff up. Sort of, things are just not clean enough. So I would suggest that we work it through our staff person. And then our commissioners can communicate with the staff person. Thank you. That's just a comment. If other commissioners see wisdom, good. If they don't, then my feelings won't be hurt.
I think if I understand your logic, based on the fact that we were just told that she didn't have anything to do with the grants, I don't know then how we can do that. We were just told that my understanding is I know that the reason why we were having UBF work with the office manager with the grants was so that we were not involved in any parts of the process in case there were conflicts of interest, and we needed to make sure that we didn't have grantees disqualified because we had been involved in the process. Because that was something that we ran into the first round. I think that if we want to direct the office manager to do what you're asking, I think then we would have to come up with sort of like what task or whatever we want her to perform. I'm just trying to figure out like what do you want the staff to do?
Through the chair.
Yeah,
May I?
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner.
Is it possible that we strategize about this later and figure out what it is Michelle can pick up at another time if we're going to direct these things to Michelle versus to the commissioner? Can we strategize about it later and move forward at the moment? Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I would say yes, and I would say that based on the structure of the commission, then what we should be doing at this point is we should be taking leadership from Commissioner Umason as the Budget and Grants Chair. So I would say whatever concerns we have, and he should be the point person for all of this stuff concerning grants. So I think whatever we want to do, we need to direct it to the Budget and Grants Committee Chair. Commissioner Benito.
One point on the staffing issue, the charter very clearly delineates that the executive director is the person who has the authority to ask staff
to do tasks and to divide the work among staff. In the absence of an executive director, it is the co-chairs that have that responsibility. I think that in terms of, I think that there's absolutely improvements that can be made to how the commission is functioning, both staff and the commission, which is not surprising given that, you know, we had a sudden departure of our executive director and we had numerous appointments that sat open for a long time. And we are in the process of trying to get all of that resolved. And so I would say that any question about staff functioning should probably be reserved for any discussion around the interim executive director conversation, because that is, we do not as a commission have the authority to supervise staff or to delegate tasks to staff members. That authority lies with the executive director, and in the absence of the executive director, the co-chair.
I do, just to make one point of clarification. Even in the absence of an executive director, the commission, including the co-chairs, do not have the authority to give the staff direction. So this is sort of like you said, connected to the executive director discussion, because this would be an example of us needing that person in that position to be able to execute what Commissioner Nelson is asking. So I just want to put that out there. Commissioner Van Leeuwen?
Yeah, I would just say that in terms of the budget process, the grants process, that the conversation around how to do that should really rest with the committee rather than with this group as a whole. So I would support moving on from this right now and allowing the committee to deal with it. And if anybody is particularly interested in that, other commissioners can go to that meeting and be part of that conversation.
I agree.
I'm amenable to that, sure.
So with that said, can you get Sharita to come back? And just for the record, there are 2 commissioners who have recused themselves from participating in the grants, and those 2 commissioners are Co-Chair Zayed and Commissioner Rodriguez. So they won't be participating in any of the grants discussion. Welcome back. And with that said, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which are the committee reports. I guess I'll do the co-chair report quickly. One of the things that we wanted to just remind commissioners is to, in terms of like making sure our calendars are updated, making sure that when we are sent requests for things that we just simply respond yes, no, maybe, just to keep everything clear. We're having some issues with maybe things not being on people's calendars or not having responses and not being able to move forward on certain items. Just want to put that out there. The next item is the vacancy on the commission. So where we are right now is that the Black Shield sent over their vice president, his name is Luther Roddy, to fill the final vacancy on the commission. We had some technical difficulties, so we were supposed to, the panel that was working to interview the commissioners, we reassembled to put that person through the same process that everybody else went through. But he had some technical difficulties, and one of the interviewees on the panel had technical difficulties, so that interview did not happen. So we're in the process of rescheduling that interview, but my understanding is that Mr. Roddy has passed all background checks, social media checks, and so this interview would be the final step for him. And assuming that the panel approves, then that name will go over to the mayor. We'll go over to the council. And I think that the date that they said was July 9th. So the goal is to vote for Mr. Roddy at the July 9th council meeting and then get him sworn in, and then he will be the 13th commissioner on the commission. So that's where that stands. And I think that for just order and time, because we have it later on the agenda, I think we can do the interim executive director when we get to the motion that's on the agenda. And then I also think we can probably move the executive director search update to the part that's later on the old business on the agenda as well, so we can get to the other committee meetings reports. So we have the rules committee. I think Tara, she said something. So Tara Coleman is now the rules chair. She's not present, but what did she say? Okay. So Commissioner Coleman just sent a message. She basically says that what she needs from the commission, so she's in the process of revising the rules that we need for the hearings. Yeah, the evidence hearings manual. And what she's asking is that commissioners review that draft that she consolidated, and she would like comments from commissioners by July 1st. I can double check. But that's what she's stated for the rules committee. And with that, we'll move on to the Police Accountability Committee meeting update, committee update from Chair Pro Tem Michael Nelson.
Good evening, commissioners and audience. The Accountability Commission, the Accountability Committee, and the Commission have received a petition regarding a discipline. We've just received the actual documents from the city, and those documents are under review. We will be having a public meeting as soon as that analysis is completed by our attorney, and we will schedule that meeting. You'll hear about it on our website and on our public announcements. So look forward to that. Okay, that's our report for today.
Thank you. We're moving forward to the policy.
Is there any way I can address them?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Okay, so next we're moving forward to the Police Policy Committee report given by Commissioner Pete Van Leer.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so the policy committee is met, and we've started moving work forward on automatic license plate readers, arrestee restraint, transportation and supervision, window tint meters. We did finalize, as you all know, we voted to finalize the unmanned aerial systems, the drone GPO, and that is, my understanding is that's being operationalized, that's being put into place by the division. We have a small work group of 2 commissioners working on pursuits, the pursuit GPOs, and I don't know if there's a report on that you want to give. So they're starting to look for public comment and public input, but there's a draft that is ready to be shared. It hasn't been shared. So that's really it. We're looking to do a review. I've been doing a review of GPOs we passed over the past year that we approved, and to make sure they're all operationalized. I think one of them, the ShotSpotter GPO, maybe has not been, and it sounds like there was between staff and the police accountability team, and how that process works with the DOJ, that something got lost there. So we're following up on that, and I will report out on that next time I get a chance. That's all I have right now.
Next update will be given by our Outreach Committee Chair, Maya Kincaid.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I actually have quite a few things to share from our outreach meeting, which I feel went very well. So first thing is that our monthly meeting will be the first Monday of every month, making our next public meeting, July 7th, I'm sorry. We are looking for options to host our outreach meeting outside of the CPC office so that we can get out into the community a lot more and be a lot more accessible. We want these meetings to move around, obviously, as it is outreach. In our last meeting, we discussed, we had a guest, actually, Angela Shue Woodson. She's the Executive Director of the Community Relations Department for the City of Cleveland. And she walked through, were those the meetings that you were referring to in your public comment?
Yeah.
I thought those were the meetings you were referring to. So we also recognize that. Okay. So we recognize that we have not had as much of an opportunity to be a part of some of those meetings, or we haven't made the concerted effort. And as a commission, we've determined that we really, really want to make it a priority to change that. So we put out a calendar for each of us as commissioners to select dates for those meetings in our individual districts, which I encourage you all commissioners to review that calendar and select the meeting in your district and do your absolute best to be there. I would also ask, and this was a personal ask as the new chair of that committee, that we each as commissioners submit no less than 3 names of community members and stakeholders that we can put out kind of a call of action to. I think we all know individuals who are very active in our communities that will encourage people to increase the attendance at these meetings and other public community meetings, because we need to hear these voices and we need the attendance. And I think that will help a lot. The live streams are great, and we do not have to do the live stream. We do it for transparency and as a courtesy because we want the public involved. Yes.
Commissioner, just one moment. Mr. Thomas, I think it's over here.
I'm telling y'all, I got PTSD, let me lose my phone over there. That's crazy. I just figured it out.
I'm glad you found it.
Yeah, I'll be looking for like 10 minutes.
No, it's okay. Yeah. Where was I? Okay, so the community engagement coordinator, Samantha, and I have been talking about some of the opportunities that we have, and Samantha did a wonderful thing, which is create a new calendar that will be a living document, and Samantha will actively add community events to this calendar. The calendar will be available on our website, and it will be available to commissioners so that we can see and select any of those community-facing events that we want to go and be a part of, and so that way we can kind of all see which ones we will attend. And so Samantha is updating that. If you know of any events or opportunities for us to reach out in your community or in your district, please forward those to Samantha so that she can update the calendar actively. She is also building us a presentation towards, she is building a presentation towards employment at the request of former Commissioner Gregory Reeves. Towards Employment is a local nonprofit that provides re-entry programming. Their website is www.towardsemployment.org if you want more information about what they do. But she is going to be giving these presentations to each of their cohorts. So they have classes that rotate on a 2-week cycle. They share information and kind of get people ready to re-enter society. And we want to be a part of that process. Samantha will be going and doing those presentations. Those are not open to the public, but they are open to us. Any commissioner that wants to join Sam can absolutely let her know, and she will have that calendar for you as well. Those dates are to be determined. And I think I had 2 more quick things. We also shared the need for all of us as commissioners to share concise and correct information about the work that we actually do, and in a way that is digestible for the public, in a way that everyone can actually understand, in a way that doesn't use, acronyms and etc. So Sam has also taken on the task of creating that deck for us. There is a long form presentation, so if we're invited somewhere to speak, we can give that, or we will have a sheet that will kind of allow us to share the same information the same way. And
I always like to bring up that the ward map has changed. There are a lot of new faces running for city council, so please educate yourself on what ward you are actually currently in and who is running for city council in your ward. And lastly, stop the silence on Violence Festival. We are tabling this event, and we need volunteers to attend that event and work our table. Sam also has sent out an email for us commissioners with a ton of great information in regard to that event and with a sheet where you can sign up to volunteer. And if you have any other questions about outreach, you can obviously direct them to me, and I will probably direct them to Sam. And yeah, I think that's my long-winded update. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. We're moving on to the Budget and Grants Committee update given by the chair of that committee, Emo Omerson.
Thank you, Coach. I think we were all a part of the update on the grants and budget today. So that's tabled for now until we get in touch with the United Black Fund and get additional information and share it with everyone. So we'll get back together as a commission to work on that. So that's all I got.
Thank you for that. We're moving forward to the Training Committee given by committee member Antea Miller.
Thank you, everyone, for being here, commissioners and the public. Basically, on June 3rd, we had the preview of having internal affairs come to our training meeting, basically letting us know that certain trainings need to be approved. Prior to that meeting, they gave us a long list of DLG and Savage training. The three committee members, we basically were going over the DLG training, then we realized how lengthy it was. It was like 30 to 45 minutes per session that they have per module with like 30 modules. And there was no way to move forward to that. So we tried our best to get through that. But then when we had our meeting on June 3rd, when they came to present, we were told that to put a pin in that and to focus on the Savage training because the Savage training basically needs to be approved by July 1st. Let's see. Oh, and then I want to put a motion for us to approve that. It is a strict guideline. When we went to view that information for the Savage, it was only an outline. We could not actually see the information that they were offering, but the outline was really good information that they would touch on. But we were told because we didn't purchase this information, we didn't have preview of reviewing it. So now they're asking us to approve this training so they can get it approved because it's going to take time for them to put it in Ohio laws, because it's modified to each state. So now we need to make this motion. And then we told them once we have access to the training, we want to bring it back to the committee to review to see if it's worth moving forward or paying for it. So I'm going to move forward with the motion. Whereas the Cleveland Division of Police, the CPD, desires to move forward with purchasing a training program for its Internal Affairs unit, and the CPD has recommended that the services of Savage Training Group to provide an investigative training course for the Internal Affairs and the Internal Affairs, investigative training course offered by Savage Training Group is a 24-hour course describing a framework of conducting thorough internal affairs from incident to adjudication, the content and the sequencing, of the investigatory questions that should and should not be asked, and how fair and thorough the internal affairs investigation process can mitigate criminal, civil, and administrative liability. And the training committee of the CPC voted to advance the full commission, purchasing the such proposed training by the Savage Group, and the content of the training materials and substance of the training provided by the Savage Group can only be made available upon approval. The Savage Training Group must tailor its program and training to the Ohio law. Whereas, upon the CPD's receipt of the Internal Affairs Investigative Training Curriculum, the CPD must bring before the CPC, two acronyms, here we go, such as training materials for the CPC's ultimate consideration and approval of the content of the training. The purchase of the proposed training is to tend to enhance current training efforts in line of the best practice in law enforcement with the focus of improving response, accountability, and community trust. It is the best interest of the CPD the CPC, and the CPD, and the city generally to approve purchasing the training. Now, therefore, I move that the CPD be authorized to purchase training materials and/or course material content from the Savage Training Group to support continued professional development and specialized training as its internal affairs unit.
Say it 5 times fast.
No.
Commissioner Miller, is that your motion?
My motion.
All right, is one of your committee members prepared to second? If not, I'll second it, but maybe perfect for one of your committee members, okay.
Any discussion or debate?
I actually just have one question. The Savage Training Group, they approached the city to like pitch this training, or was it something that we seeked out? I'm just curious. The city seeked out this training? Okay. I was just curious. And so, and they said, I guess I'm more curious than I thought. So they tailored their training specific to where you are, but it's a state thing, not a city thing, right? They tailor it to Ohio law, not necessarily to the needs of that individual city.
To the chair, how the training organization will come in, and it'll be more fitted for Cleveland with the state laws intervening. Yes, but it's actually for Cleveland internal, and then it will go for they'll handle any state laws that pertain to them per the training.
Through the chair, do we know anything about Savage Training Group? Have we looked at like how they're regarded? I mean, or other commissioners who might have experience with this kind of training? I mean, is there any information about that, or I'm just curious about what they do and how they're viewed and how they're rated, if that's possible.
What I recall from when Internal Affairs was here was that they are a California-based company and that they've done this work with other states and other locations. But as far as like knowing a lot about their background, I'm not really sure. I think that's where when the training committee met, I think that's sort of like, you know, I think there was an awareness that obviously you would like to see the full training, but this is like support for the training that they're having. And I think from what I remember the discussion, that this will be primarily given to like superiors in the police department. It's internal affairs. So like
it's strictly for internal affairs supervisors.
So like so it's like the supervisors in the internal affairs department. And so, you know, the committee had some questions, but I think why they're bringing this motion to the commission is that this isn't finalizing and saying, you know, we're just gonna just rubber stamp the Savage Group training. This is so they can get the training that they're saying that they need, and then we will then review it to make sure that, you know, it aligns with what the goals of the commission and the consent decree and the charter.
Through the chair, just upon Googling, the reviews are wonderful. I mean, and these are obviously from people who have taken the training and are in internal affairs in different cities. But honestly, just kind of glancing through these reviews, they are really good and they sound like people found it helpful. So, I mean.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the committee having vetted this matter and it's their recommendation, I move the previous question. Yeah. You have a motion, I move the previous question. Then we vote on it.
Any more discussion?
My curiosity is satisfied.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move forward with the vote. Co-Chair Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Chura.
Aye.
Commissioner Kincaid.
Aye.
Commissioner Mason.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Commissioner Marrera Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Umelson.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
And I, Commissioner Zayed, vote aye. It passes.
I have a question for the training committee chairperson. Madam Chairperson, I don't know if Madam Standing Committee Member, directed it to Commissioner Miller. Has the commission in a previous year taken any ride-alongs yet? Do you recall?
That's a great question. Commissioner Mason and I was also talking about being more active with the hands-on training, but we can definitely take that back. We did not ask that. This was a priority because the deadline is coming, by July 1st, or we won't have anything. So
Would it be appropriate to the committee that consider the fact that set up ride-alongs,
Yes.
if not for your committee, if not for the entire commission, at least for your committee?
thank you.
Okay, so we can become more familiar with the stress, the 24-hour stress that our officers
I
are under.
know. I'm sure I know this.
That'd be a good thing for all commissioners, but I turn it over to you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We'll take it back to the committee. I won't.
Commissioner Nelson, one of the things that I have proposed to the training stand-in, that we go to and do hands-on training also. Tri-C Western Campus have it's a 3-dimensional training where it actually puts you into the situation. So if we're not, because sometimes that ride along may be a little unsafe, but if you do that process, I think you will get the gist of what law enforcement actually goes through. And they have also a village, and you can actually become an officer inside the village, and they will put you through scenarios. So that is a proposal that I have requested.
I will always defer to the chief, and you are the chief. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next is the update from the Promotions Evaluations Committee. That's going to be given by our co-chair, John Adams.
So I'm just giving this because Commissioner Rodriguez wasn't able to make it. But basically, where the committee is, I know that there's one of the issues for the committee's actual existence was the commander appointments, the commander recommendations. So for some time now, we have been trying to get all of the records that we needed to do these reviews, but I think we're at a point now where we have those records. So Commissioner Rodriguez and I were trying to set up a meeting where we can kind of like meet and kind of start to lay out what the priorities of that committee will be, so that we can make the recommendations. So we now have the records that we have. We even got, there was I think the committee wanted like some litigation cases, and there was one other document that the committee wanted to wait until they had it in their possession. And so we now have those records. And so I think where that committee is now is basically coming up with a plan. There's a lot of records, and so I think my reasoning for asking for the meeting is so that we can kind of figure out a plan, a process of like how we're gonna evaluate the documents that we have, and use and do the review in a way that is consistent with the consent decree. I think it's paragraph 317 that talks about, I might be off a paragraph or two, but there's that talks about promotion. And so we want to make sure that as we are reviewing the records and eventually making the recommendations, that it is based on the criteria that has been set forth in the consent decree. So I think that's sort of where that committee is right now.
Through the chair, before we move on, I had one more thing that I forgot, which Sharina was our work on the survey that we intend to revamp and redistribute.
Yes. So our previous executive director had some of that previous information that you requested. So I have to track down the older survey that was taken prior to our terms here. So I'm in the process of that, obtaining that information, and we're working with the monitoring the team to see how we're going to move forward with that. So we're just waiting on their availability. So we're going to move forward to our old business with the motion to revise previous interim executive director motion.
To the chair.
Yes.
So we go into executive session, we need to have a discussion regarding the executive director position. We need some clarity.
So let's make a motion to
I'll second it. Has the motion been made? Madam Commissioner, you make such a motion?
Commissioner, Chair. I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the executive director, the interim position.
Second.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay, we'll call a vote. Co-Chair Adams? Commissioner Chura?
Aye.
Commissioner Kincaid?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller? I'm sorry, Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller? Aye. Commissioner Marrera Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Umelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So we're going into executive session. At this time, we need the community members to step out for a second.